Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of 33 Conversations. I'm your host, Michael Abney. Today, I'm joined by Maris. He is the founder of the Blended Future Project. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. It is my pleasure. I love having all of these amazing conversations with all the facets of the diamonds of people building something crazy meaningful in the world. But let's start out today with this. I want to start with something that feels central to who you are right now. You didn't envision the film industry continuing in its current form. You became someone who began to start to see it clearly. You saw who was represented, who wasn't, and how often meaning gets sacrificed for scale, speed, and safety. What I'm interested today is the filmmaking as a craft. It's who you're becoming as you move from a creator to facilitator, making stories to shape systems that help meaning survive. So let's open up today with what you are in the middle, what transformation that you're currently in the middle of right now. Yeah.
So that was my experience. I grew up in a small suburb, Park, Illinois, famous for its Frank Lloyd Wright houses, and that's kind of about it. And I was one of two, maybe three mixed families in the 80s. So that was my experience growing up. And then I moved to Copenhagen when I was 13. I lived there until I was 18, which was the first time where I really was Danish. And then when you say nobody, they're like, so you're American. So it kind of flipped the script of how I saw myself a little bit. So when I began writing this blog back around 2018, 2019, it was just about that experience. And as I connect with more people who had the same experience, I realized that that was not getting portrayed in the industry that I chose. I was hoping that as time would go along and I would eventually climb the ladder with films that I would make, that I would receive permission to make those kinds of stories. The old adage in Hollywood is you make one for you and you make one for them. And so I was like, well, I'm going to make one for me and hopefully they'll make one for them. And then they'll let me make the thing for me. Kind of like the way that Ryan Coogler is doing it now. He made a lot of Black Panther movies and then he made Sinners, which is one for him. And now he's going to make Black Panther again. I thought that would be my trajectory, but trying to wait for that permission, I realized that I could be waiting forever.
Yeah, I love that. What was the seed for you to even start this in 2018? What was the...
honestly, the seed was the 2016 election. And I was sitting there and I was thinking about this. And then I saw this quote from Toni Morrison that said, now is the time for artists to go to work. Now is not the time to be afraid. And it was almost like this out of body experience where I felt part of myself sitting next to me saying, you've waited for permission for so long, but you haven't really used your talents to make a pathway for anybody else. So in a way, you've been kind of selfish with the gifts that you've been given. So now is the time to stop being so selfish. And so with that, I sat down and just started writing articles on Medium, that platform. And then I eventually, because you need a portfolio to get work, I've known how to code and build my own websites via WordPress. So I was like, all right, I'll make another site and I'll call it the Blended Future Project. Good old WordPress, still using it.
I hated WordPress. Oh my God. I love websites too. But yeah. See, our brains will work good together because you have the other side.
I've always kind of had to keep my eye on because I'm a freelancer, so I have to keep my eye on okay, how are we going to pay rent this month? All right, somebody needs to know who I am. I'll build a website. I'll send it to them. There we go. So I built the website that was a blog website, and I just would write out articles, and then I eventually learned about how newsletters work, and that started the ball.
When did you start filmmaking?
I started honestly, when I was a little kid, making little movies here and there. Those no longer exist, or if they do, they will never see the light of day. But in earnest, I got the filmmaking bug when I was living in Denmark because my connection back to the United States was going to the movie theater. So I was like, I want to do that. If
I could, not as a regret, but I would definitely go to film school. Yeah. I have it's just such an art or such a way of expressing yourself that's so malleable that you could really you just take shaping a narrative of a story or storytelling in general, but the power of the visual expression of that and how people see it is so powerful. How long did it take you to realize that once you were in this, that you started to see the patterns of where what you just said. You build one for yourself and you build one for like that split, that dichotomy. How did that land for you? How did it feel when you knew that
I
that was the
mean,
game?
I have either fortunately or unfortunately come to fruition in the age where everything has changed. Like when I began, it was very impressive to make a movie. Like the fact that because it was really expensive, you had to like get film, get a crew. It was like you're talking about minimum like a $20,000 to $30,000 adventure here, and that's
So
like
minimum.
yeah, and that's for like a short film. All right. I mean, I know people have done it for like $8,000, but I mean, you're pulling a lot of favors at that point, and that's a whole
Yeah.
other path we can go
Yeah.
down. But I saw the eventual transition to digital. I worked so seeing that, but I still noticed that the same types of people were getting picked, quote unquote. The process was still the same. It was like instead of having a festival pick you, now you would have the algorithm pick you. And then the people in the industry would see the people who were the most popular on the algorithm. But because the algorithms are built by a certain type of people, they look for certain types of things. And then maybe you'll have one or two outliers that are different, but the amount of slots that are available are small. So do I want to keep rolling the dice and playing the lottery that way? Or do I have to take a step back and see, all right, if the odds are stacked against me to go this way, what is another way that I could go forward? And some of it was just wanting to express myself in a different way. Like I had wanted to be a writer before I decided to become a filmmaker. So I was like, I'll just write. I'll just do that and see where that takes me.
And where did it take you?
When I started writing and sharing, I would post the articles everywhere I could. Like I would post them on Instagram, Facebook, on Reddit, and it slowly started to build up. The Blended Future project, it didn't blow up for like millions of followers, but for the people who it really resonated with, they began to like know my name. Some of them reached out to me like in my private messages on Instagram. And actually during the pandemic, there was one person who wanted to make an event for mixed people. We called it Remixed, and we just had a bunch of speakers and we played a couple of movies and we also had some entertainment, and it just kind of has evolved into the state that it is now. It officially became a media company when a friend of mine received a grant from Netflix to make a short film. And she was like, I got this grant and and I want you to produce this short film, but I need you to manage the money. And I was like, well, I personally am not going to manage this entire grant money that you have, which is tens of thousands of dollars. But I guess this is now a signal that I should officially incorporate, and this will be the first movie that's made under the Blended Future project as a media company. And for making that movie, I get introduced to another filmmaker, and I produced his movie. I made another short for myself, and then the original person who got the Netflix grant introduced me to another filmmaker whose short I produced, and it's just been continuing on. So it's gone from writing to making shorts.
Wow. How do you like making shorts? I mean, it's a whole different, that's a whole, I'm blown away by some of the short films that I see that are just extraordinary, especially some of the animated ones that blow me away. But like as a writer and telling a story, how did you rewire the brain, or did you already have it? Because I
I
know that
mean,
that's a completely different shift.
I started all of the way that I write is it's very visual and very sound oriented. Like I have to see the scene in my brain and also kind of hear it. One of my habits is I have to have music before I write. Like the latest film that I'm working on called Concrete River, which is about a homeless musician. I had to build the soundtrack.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing that. I love the insights of like the creation process, what inspires us. And it's so different for everybody, but like one thing that you say will inspire something in someone else. And yeah, right now I just want to go watch a short. I just love storytelling. I think it's with all of the static and the noise that's out there, it cuts through all of that. Uh, If you think about it, it's not just getting on a podcast and just, swapping it's not that. it's put thought behind it and seeing the end vision. I'm sure you do that too, right? You see the end, or how do you, of a project, or how does that work for you?
I mean, if we're talking about from scratch, a lot of times I will just see like scenes of things playing out in my head. Like, here's a scene of this character, and they would do that. And here's a scene of this character would do that. And then I have to let it marinate a little bit. Like the latest feature that I'm working on, I think I let it marinate for like a year because I would just like, I had a little bit of an idea of who the character was, and I had a couple of scenes, but I didn't know how to connect them together. Something that I've done, it used to be where I would just like write and just freeform and then just, just kind of try to wheel it in. But now I've gotten into actually sitting down and outlining everything before, so I know exactly what's going to happen. This is how all of the different art forms influence each other, because I'm also, by trade, I'm also an editor. I've edited documentaries, commercials, short films, all kinds of things. And in the process of editing, you just have a bunch of things, a bunch of footage, and then you start whittling it down.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just keep whittling, you just keep making revision after revision after revision. And when you're writing, that's kind of the same way. Like, I have a bunch of ideas, so I write them all down. Then I try to organize them. Then from that outline, I write everything out, how it's going to go. And this is the thing that a lot of writers, especially when you're starting out, it's the biggest hurdle to overcome is the feedback. Like, we want to nail it on the first try. We want to like write this thing and put it out there and everybody go, yeah, it's great. But then you put it out there and somebody's like, this is working and that's not working. You're like, crestfallen. But coming from an editing standpoint, like, oh, that's just version 1. So I know there's going to be some stuff wrong with it. Just look at it and then we'll get there on whatever version.
Yeah. Well, now that we're talking now, I'll do one for them and do one for me. So do one for them really just means doing one for money, right? Or whatever their formula of, at the end of the day. That's really what that is to, get people, it's money. And then your heart is art, like, then the expression of that and the meaning of that. What do you do with that when you realize that, what did you do one for money? Or how did that,
I mean,
or no,
when you're a
freelancer,
there's a lot of things that you're doing just for money. A lot of times, like, I've edited plenty of things where like I have no attachment to this like at all, but there is a little piece of you that you're bringing to it, which is why you're hired in the first place. You have the things that I have made on my own that were for me are the things that have gotten me the jobs that are for money. Like, there's a short film that I made called Sprout, which helped me get my first producing job and also a lot of the editing jobs that I had, because they see that and they go, I want a piece of that for whatever it is that I'm working on. If it's a company that wants me to edit some commercials, celebrities like Tia Mowry. And the reason why I got that job is because I had made a sizzle for a friend for free and also my short films. And I knew how to use the software they were using. So they were like, we like that. Can you do that for us? And that's kind of how you square away the one for them, one for me. It's like, I'm already doing what I want to do. I'm just taking part of it and applying it to whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah, I haven't heard that word in a long time, sizzle. This is a true story. When I told you I did a documentary and I had no idea what the hell I was doing, I was just so committed. I wanted people to understand this like breakthrough process so badly that I would have done anything for it, and did. But it happened, but that attracted like people wanting me to help them with other ideas and like television show ideas. One television show I had, and all of them had to have sizzle reels. I'm like, what the hell's a sizzle reel? Oh, you have to tell the story like in 3 to 5 minutes, and it has to be like this. And I'm like, huh? And I remember sitting in the editing rooms with those when they were like cutting all of this like footage down, and they were making these sizzle reels, and how I was just so blown away by how that they did that. And I had an idea for another television show literally called Sizzle Reel. That was like the American Idol for television shows. When I did get some opportunities to pitch it, and they would go, oh, we've heard this idea before. And I was like, yeah, no, you haven't, because it would already be out. One company actually bought it, but they bought it to kill it. And I didn't know that was a thing. But yeah. And I'm like, it's been 5 years, and it's like, well, Yeah, try it again now. Not original now. So damn, it was a good idea. But I still remember making that sizzle reel for that sizzle reel show. It was so funny. But yes, I just love enjoy this conversation. It's about like the art of storytelling, but it's also in this form of these little bite-sized pieces. And for you, like when did you realize that that path of the back and the forth really wasn't sustainable for you as a person?
I think I realized that it wasn't sustainable when I kind of, you sit down and you like do the numbers and also like what your life is going to look like. Like look at, first of all, the idea that I would be like the next Christopher Nolan, that's a very, not just a high bar to like fill, but there's only one of him. And the amount of movies that are being made is decreasing. Why would I try to go that route when the opportunities will be less? And also because, I know that trying to go along that path, I'm going to be able to make one thing every 5 years, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's going to be like my focus all the time.
Yeah.
And I have other ideas that I want to get out there.
And there's only one you.
And there's only one me. And I have all the kinds of stories. So am I going to be and also it's almost a little bit selfish. Like I have like ideas and like the kinds of stories that I want to tell. And if it's like just up to me, well, that makes me feel better. But what does that really do for somebody else? But there are still lessons that we can learn from the way that those things are made. And how can I take those same operational lessons and systems and just apply them to what I want to do already and who I know other people want to do already? And there's also something very gratifying about helping somebody else's vision come to life. Like I really do enjoy writing and directing.
Yeah. Well, especially when they saw something, it's coming from them seeing a passion or something that you're passionate that you created for yourself, or not for yourself, but in that genre, that you weren't doing it for money, led you to working with people. That's a different experience than, selling out the soul. Not that you did that, but like that vibration, like there's totally, you're taking it and turning it on its ear, which is, yeah.
And I've met some of the people who are at that apex. And most of them they're actually pretty easy to work with and great to get along with. I think they recognize that they like got kind of lucky and they have to do things in this certain way. And also there's, once you kind of reach that peak, there's like a minimum of the kind of story that you could tell. Martin Scorsese isn't going to be making a $30,000 feature film anytime soon. He can, but he just can't, that's not the way that his brain works anymore.
He even has the same actors.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, got it. But yeah, as long as it works and it's out there, and yeah, I get it. I got a question. What do people actually, or what do you think people are actually hungry for now beneath the onslaught of content that we are bombarded with constantly? What do you think that they're really hungry for?
I think authenticity and meaning, because it is so easy to make anything, that means there's a lot of average out there, but there's not a lot of specific. Like here's one of the things, I'm currently in the midst of writing a book. It's called the Filmmaker Survival Guide, and it's meant for how filmmakers and content creators can survive this onslaught. And by survive, I mean the old meaning of the word survive, which is to live beyond the current event that is happening, not to just hang on for dear life. And one of the things that I phrase is to be hyper local, but with a global viewpoint. Because if anybody can make anything that is generic, then the advantage that you have is making something that is so specific to this particular area. We can take something, let's go with Sinners for an example. It's a vampire story about 1933 Mississippi that is very specific, and it had a global outreach because it is something that you've never seen before because it is so specific. So really it's the smaller that you get, the wider of a reach that it has, because we know that somebody was so specific and they cared about this so deeply that they wanted to share it with the world. So there's more authenticity in what you did around the corner for a day than there is, taking the same route that everybody else took or having a bunch of pretty shots strung together.
I haven't seen that yet. I have you seen it?
I have seen it.
Did you like it?
That was probably one of my favorite movies.
Sinners?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll definitely take that on. I'm not a big vampire. Well, it's because I've already got the one stayed over one, because there was the interview with the vampire and all of that stuff, but that was all. And then the one that was on HBO all seem to be centered down in that area of the country. That's kind of interesting, but yeah.
Or if you take something like there's on Netflix, you'll see a lot of Korean shows, and they're hyper specific to what's happening in that region. And the reason why I think they are having such resonance, I mean, yes, K-pop is like part of it, but also because a lot of them are very specific and they are leaning into that specificity. They're not trying to appeal. There's the old saying that if you try to talk to everyone, you're talking to no one.
Which is huge. Have you run into, what's your take on all of the AI stuff and how that's impacting the industry?
I mean, I feel there's a lot of fear mongering around it because a lot of people don't understand it, or they're hoping. I mean, as far as the industry itself, there's kind of two routes they're taking. One is to just make ads out of it, because that's a lot of the way that people make
press
money.
a button. You don't have to hire people. Money. Yes.
Yeah. We'll make some ads, and there we go.
People won't know a thing.
They won't tell the difference,
but they do. I've only seen one. There's a lady on YouTube. I think I don't know how to pronounce her last name. It's Kelly Bosch or something like that. But her AI art is insane. It's like dancey, vibey. But how she created that is really the first time I've ever seen it be in an art form where I would go, that's an art form. Yeah.
I mean, it can be considered, it's us. It can be like a form of animation. I mean, I guess the thing that the industry is trying to do is how can we make the line go up and the amount of people we hire go down? But the thing about a story is when you latch onto it, think about the last movie or book that you read that really spoke to you. You go down this rabbit hole where you want to know, how did they make it? Why did they make it? What was the inspiration for this? What was the inspiration for that? Why did you do this? Why did they make that choice? We want to know everything that we can about it. And if the idea is to replace all of those elements, then it's not going to catch on, because it's we just pressed a button and made it. That's it? I can't know more? I want to know more. You don't have anything?
I never thought about that, but that's absolutely true. With almost anything that you watch, even with the stuff that you just watched to be blanked out.
Yeah.
That's the same thing. There's so many different facets. This is exciting. How do you create systems without losing your soul?
So I used to believe that in order to be creative, you had to be inspired. You had to wait for the right time to be. I would just say, I'm waiting to be inspired. I'm waiting for this idea to come to fruition. Yeah, exactly. It'll hit me at some time in the future. And then I started looking at, how other artists would work. And I realized they don't wait to be inspired. If you want, I guess let's separate. If you're just doing this for a hobby, then yes, wait to be inspired, because this is not the main thing that you're trying to do. Yeah. This is a thing to do for fun. If this is your career that you want to do, then you have to treat it like one. That means you have to make a system that delivers inspiration to you, as opposed to waiting for inspiration to come to you. Because, when you're a freelancer and you work and you're in somebody's office or on somebody's set, you cannot say, well, I'm not inspired yet to work. You will be quickly replaced by somebody who does not need to be inspired. So what are those systems and I find that it comes down to figuring out what are the things that give you energy and what are the things that take energy away from you. And also, what are the times of day where that is the most? For me, when I get up in the morning, I'm ready to write. That's probably the best amount of creative time that I have is in the morning. And then anything editing or visualize. Now, obviously there are times where we have to just power through and do things we don't want to, but the optimal times, if we can. I write in the morning and I do anything like visual editing wise at night because that's where the energy is the highest. And I lean into that because that's when I have the best output. So it's about so much of this is about managing your energy. People say it's about managing your time or managing the money. It's about managing the energy. When can you do this at the time where you have the most energy and capacity to do it? Because you'll actually find that maybe that 3 hours where you have the most energy will give you a better result faster than when you're trying to power through 8 hours when you have zero.
I'm the same way. Even if I've had a long day, I like to edit, especially the podcast and anything else I'm working on. I dabble in it. I have a great admiration for editors. I've had really good ones, and I've had really drunk ones too. They're fun, but in a different kind of a way. But editing is so different than it is now. It's just it's an art form in itself. It's an art form. But as you are, I don't know if you could have like a 30,000 beat view of like where you're at right now and seeing this becoming sustainable for yourself. Like, how does that feel? What's your take on this new path that you're carving for yourself? And as it's unfolding, how do you see the sustainability of it as you're moving forward with your own track?
I mean, actually, I did this exercise last year, which was I made the 30-year plan.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, the ideal 30-year plan. And kind of the way that I'm thinking about it is obviously there are the things that we make, which we have different media experiences, but then it's about building the distribution for those experiences and then using that as a way to build up more storytellers to tell their own stories.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of right now I'm focusing on making, I hate the word, but content, making the art, making the media, making the things that people will see, but then looking towards how can we deliver that to people directly? And that is the direction that I'm heading in. And also and sharing the lessons of how we made all of this stuff. I think that's what people are kind of clamoring for now, which was like, how did you make this? That is the thing that even with AI, people want to know how it is that you made this because somebody else
behind the scenes. It's the modern day behind the scenes. Yeah. I've often thought about having another camera here when I do this, but I haven't done it yet. But it is so true about the little clips about how if I wasn't doing shorts, nobody would be watching videos because it's like they're connected. But you do a short, I'll get 20 new followers from a short. And I'm like, that's 30 seconds. They weren't even saying a coherent sentence, but somehow something about that thing caused that thing to pop.
And the other thing that I am also building towards is how can you do this with sovereignty and independence? I've been, actually, there's a guy that I know, his name is Ernest Krim, and he does Black History TikToks, and he had 400,000 followers on Instagram. And as of this moment, his Instagram account got banned for whatever reason, like no explanation. And then all those connections and contacts are just gone, disappeared.
It's not going to disappear.
What are the things that we can do to build our own infrastructure? That is the thing that I preach about a lot with people that I work with is what is the infrastructure that you are building? Instead of renting attention, how can you own that attention and use that to build a relationship?
It's like the PBS version of Facebook or something like that, a platform that we can make it all work. And I think we're primed for it. Yeah. I'd be down with it. Hell, I'd pay that monthly subscription fee left and right because it would benefit everybody. Like, it's there. I mean, think of all the excess it's ridiculous. We just got to wake up to it. It's so easy. We already have the tools. It's just this thing about this, whatever this imaginary thing is that we think that, just this one person can do this thing or this way. But it takes people like you that have this, being able to start thinking outside the box and creating, redefining what meaning is. And that's where the shift is going to happen.
If I can
believe it.
The 30,000 foot, 30-year plan is to basically create a community where you have story, meaning, community, education, all in one place.
Beautiful. For creators listening out there who feel lost in the noise and the algorithms, hello, I'm one of them. What do you want us, what do you want me to remember about meaning?
Well, the first thing is the meaning always comes from you, and it comes from having a consistent message that you want to put out there, a certain point of view. I think a lot of times we can get lost in, oh, I got this amount of followers and I got this amount of likes, when really it's about sharing the same message on repeat. This has to be something that you're in for the long term. And again, it's about taking those people that resonate and moving them to a place where you can have a deeper conversation. I like to think of the Instagram algorithms as like a club, and they're the bouncer. But when you get inside, you want to find the people that you connect with, so you guys can hang out someplace else.
Done. Check. I'm 1,000% aligned with that. Thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing your insight and helping us get behind the noise of everything that we're seeing every day. Really appreciate it. Yes, I love it. Thank you. Thank you guys for listening in to another conversation here at our podcast where we share what's behind the scenes of people building amazing things in the world today. I always leave you with this. Go out and have a conversation with somebody that you've never met. It could change your whole life. Leave what happens below in the comments. We all want to know. I want to hear. Bye, guys.